Locked On Texans, your daily Houston Texans podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into today's episode, everybody. I'm Johnson Sports Guy Hickman. Another episode of Locked On Texans, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, joined by Cody Davis, none other than Cody Davis. We got a very exciting show. Cody, give them the rundown. Let's get things kicked off the right way.
Yes, sir. And on this Wednesday installment of Locked On Texans, John and I are going to take a look at which player is the most important player heading into their Week 4 match against the Buffalo Bills. And then we're going to close out this latest installment of Locked On Texans by looking at the comments about Justin Allen from David Culley, who, ladies and gentlemen, had an opportunity to coach Josh Allen during his rookie season, which was Culley's final season as the quarterback coach for the Buffalo Bills. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get this Wednesday installment of Locked On Texans kicked off by looking at which player has benefited the most from Lovie Smith becoming the Texans defensive coordinator. And for me, John and listeners, the one guy that came to my mind is Jacob Martin. And I say Jacob Martin because, as we all know, going back to OTAs, I came on the show and everybody know by now that Lovie Smith actually switched Jacob Martin from a linebacker to a defensive end. And now here we are, 3 games going into 4 games into the regular season. And I must say, Lovie Smith did a very awesome job by switching Martin from a linebacker to a defensive end. And the reason why I say that is because it helps Jacob Martin utilize his skill set as a pass rusher coming off the line of scrimmage. And then it also helped improve the Texans' defensive front as well. Because, John, I'm pretty sure you could attest to this as well. As we enter the 4th game of this regular season, I think we could all say one of the best things that we saw from the Texans was that defensive front. And Jacob Martin has been a tremendous reason why we have saw this defensive line look really good through the first 3 games, especially considering that Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold, all of those guys actually had a couple moments where they struggled to get the ball off because of that defensive line. And a big part of that was because of Jacob Martin.
You know, I'm going to go with a defensive back. I'm looking at Vernon Hargreaves, right? 2020.
Really?
Right. And I'm going to tell you why. He's shown progression throughout the first 3 games compared to last year. 2020 gave up a total of 133 yards in 3 games. Excuse me. Battling the cold, guys. A summer cold. I hate those. But in the first 3 games of 2020, he gave up 103 yards, 1 touchdown, 89% on the field, and an average of 90% QB rating compared to 79 this year. He's on the field more, but playing 91% of the snaps, 0 touchdowns, 83 yards through the first 3 games. And for me, Cody, I think he's just in a better situation with this zone defense. Throughout the game, when they played the Panthers, there are key plays that you see why Vernon Hargreaves and the arrival of Lovie Smith work hand in hand right now. Well, their first play, the first play only had a gain of 6, but then the back door on that same drive on 3rd down had a big pass breakup to go to the 4th down on DJ Moore. That second drive, he stepped up in his zone, took away Christian McCaffrey from that play initially, then followed Darnold's eyes as he was scrambling, trying to make a play, and then made the play on DJ Moore, who came back to the football. He also took Robbie Anderson away from a 10-and-out route on that 3rd drive, and DJ Moore had that sideline catch, was a great play. He ended up catching it, but Vernon Hargreaves was in the area to make a play. So he's been around the field throughout the games, and you're seeing him develop more and more as a zone cornerback. He's getting that confidence, already has an interception on the year, no touchdowns. When I'm looking at what Vernon Hargreaves can do, I think Houston and this defense brought in by Lovie Smith is playing more to his strengths, right? Not really a good man-on-man cornerback, but as far as zone, he's been able to solidify himself as a zone cornerback for this defense. But it does go back to the departure departing rather from Bradley Roby. A lot of people were upset about Bradley Roby being moved, but the case that I was making was when we look at what Houston wants to do this year, it makes sense. Plus, they're getting a third round back, but it makes sense because Bradley Roby struggled in the zone. That's just what it is. He's a great man corner. I think New Orleans got him for a great purpose. He would be good in New Orleans because of what he can do, but here in Houston, it just wasn't going to work out philosophy-wise, schematically-wise. And Vernon Hargreaves has really, really had an opportunity to kind of jump as far as expectations through the first 3 games so far compared to last year because he's more comfortable. He's in an offense. He's in a defense where he's asked to do what he's good at. And that's sit in those zones, read those the quarterback eyes, and step up and take players away. And one play that I mentioned, when he stepped up to take away Christian McCaffrey on that play, that was on the second drive on second down, when he stepped up to take away Christian McCaffrey, so that took away Sam Darnold's initial read. Went back and watched some film today. That took away Darnold's initial read. That forced Darnold to step up and then scramble to find another receiver to throw the ball to, and then he took away DJ Moore on that very same play. Just able to use his speed, use his eyes, and be more of a factor in this pass defense, rather.
And another guy I want to mention really quick because I do want to give him his respect, especially after a terrible year that he had last year, was Whitney Merciless. He's another guy that Lovie Smith had to make that transition from a linebacker to a defensive end. And we definitely did not know how to feel about Whitney Merciless becoming a guy who was putting his hand in the dirt. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he said the last time that he played with his hand in the dirt came, I believe it was in high school, if I'm not mistaken. But Here we are, 3 games into the regular season, and Whitney Merciless already has 2 sacks when last year, I believe that was his total number in general. So, Lovie Smith, when he came here, there was a lot of, is his Tampa 2 defense out of style? Does he have the type of players in order to succeed with this? Especially, John, I remember you and I, after the Texans hired him to be their new defensive coordinator, you and I actually took a moment and just take a look at, what he did in college, and his defenses in college was terrible. I think there was a year they was giving up an average almost 30 points per game. And, it wasn't like, oh my God, we got Lovie Smith, our defense is about to, look better than it was last year. But 3 games in, we have to give respect where respect is due. Lovie Smith has done a really good job. I just hope that it continues.
Yeah, and we were talking about in the offseason where given the talent, given the guys that they brought in, a lot of 2-year deals, basically on 1-year deals, because Houston can move on, or 1-year deals, we were looking at what Lovie Smith could do with this defense. And one of the things we said was, if they are not at the tail end defensively, if they're in between, I think like between 25 and 17, that's an improvement from last year. And I will say this, zone defenses in college, those quarterbacks, those offenses that they put together in college are meant to find a receiver, a speedy receiver that can find a zone, hit it, and then use speed to get out. And that could have been what it was, right? Just not being able to have a good zone defense put together, because Maryland was in the Big Ten, and so they're going hand in hand. But throughout the first couple of weeks, Houston is not the worst defense in the league, right? Houston has been able to get after the quarterback. Houston has been able to create turnovers. Houston has been able to look totally different than what they did last year, and that's a plus. And I think a good choice right now, Whitney Merciless, who I still believe is taking away too many snaps from some of the other guys, but he has looked better. Vernon Hargreaves, I believe, has looked better. And who's the first guy? Jacob Martin.
Jacob Martin.
Right, we love Jacob Martin here. He's on the field more, and he's giving Houston more opportunities to get after the quarterback. So it's not like he's playing better. We just have a coaching to realize he should be on the field more, which is a smart move in itself. Bet online. Okay, go ahead and go to betonline.ag. Let's make some extra money together as a family. Football is back, and BetOnline is the number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. Got a new updated site and interface, even more odds, even more props, even more contests. BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use promo code NFL100. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports action. I'm going to transition over to how you can continue to save money by doing your everyday life. I know you get gas, right? Texan fans, listen up. Rockets fans, anybody, Houston fans, listen up. Got an incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about. Get Upside. My listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use promo code touchdown for NFL or baseball for MLB and get a 25-cent bonus per gallon just for filling up. That's up to 50-cent cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app for free and use promo code touchdown for NFL or baseball for MLB.
And continuing here with this latest installment of Locked On Texans, John and I thought it would be important to see which Texan player will be the most important for the Houston Texans as they head closer to the Week 4 match against the Buffalo Bills. Now, look, the Buffalo Bills, they have been on a roll the last two games. And for me, the one guy that I'm looking at, and this might catch you off guard just a little bit, John, but the one guy that I'm looking at is Justin Reed. And no, this does not have to do anything about his performances because I believe after 3 games in, Justin Reed has been by far the Texans' best defensive player. But Reed is also coming off a knee injury. And as we all know, Reed did not play in the Texans' Thursday night match against the Carolina Panthers. And we saw without Reed, the Houston Texans defense can struggle. And by the way, going into this game, especially going into Buffalo, it's going to be very important for Justin Reed to get back out there on that field, especially if he's healthy, because the Buffalo Bills over the last 2 games, they have averaged 39 points per game. They have recorded close to 800 total yards, and just to be exact, 795, and 504 has came in the passing game. We know they have one of the best quarterbacks out there in Josh Allen. You know how good and how diverse their receiving core is. If Justin Reed isn't able to go, or if he isn't 100% or close to it, this Texans defense is going to struggle. And by the way, I just gave you the damage that they did over the last two games. This is a team that did this against the Washington football team and the Miami Dolphins. And I think we can all agree that both of those teams, without a doubt, have a better defense than the Houston Texans. Justin Reed, of course, hoping for a speedy recovery. As a matter of fact, later on today, we're going to get word on whether or not Justin Reed is going to be able to play Sunday's game. I think he will, but the Texans definitely need Reed in order to stay competitive against the Buffalo Bills.
Justin Reed is a good pick, Cody. I mean, you're right. They're going to need him in order to have that quarterback on defense. And I went back, just like I saw some things for Vernon Hargreaves. I saw some things for the safety group, and I think that when Reed comes back, I think Houston should make the switch to have him and Lonnie Johnson pairing together instead of Reed and Murray.
Totally agree. And by the way, we thought that was going to be the starting safeties to begin the season with.
We did, and obviously there was something there. Lonnie Johnson didn't play the first game due to some injury. The second game he was active, played more, and then last game he started. So it could be one of those situations where, maybe they wasn't trusting his body at the time. But when Reed went out, I think he played fairly good against the Carolina Panthers. But no matter what Houston does defensively, the Bills are going to be the Bills' offense right now. Stephon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs, by the way, if we could just talk football for a quick second, Trayvon Diggs had a game for the Dallas Cowboys, man, going up against his old teammate Devontae Smith, had a pick six. I picked up Dallas defense at the right moment in fantasy, by the way. But he had a great game, just to kind of go back. But he got Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. They have a very good running back by committee. Cole Beasley is another guy, right? That offense, Dawson Knox has scored too, so he's going to get involved. That offense is going to do what it has to do, which is why I'm looking at Davis Mills to keep this Houston offense involved here in Houston. Well, they'll be in not Carolina. They will be in Buffalo, but I'm looking for them to be involved. And so one of the things that we got upset at throughout the week, well, after Thursday game, was the fact that we thought, and they came out and admitted it, they handcuffed Davis Mills a little bit too much, right? And on that TD drive, let me tell you how impressive he looked, man. That first was the only touchdown of the game for Houston to Anthony Miller. David Johnson was Mills' first read. They brought Johnson on a motion sweep. And if you look at it, he looked at Johnson, saw that was taken away, and what we have been asking him to do, which is one of those times that he did, went through his progression and found Miller in the back of the end zone. So they're gonna have to find creative ways to make his life easier. But Houston's offense ain't gonna go right now if they're handcuffing him, if they're limiting him. They gotta open it up, trust what he can do, trust his arm. That's why he's the player I'm looking at to have a big game on Sunday. Without Mills, having one of those drives like he did in the second quarter. Excuse me, guys. Like he had in the second quarter, where he let him down, had an impressive TD. Houston ain't gonna do nothing. And I'm looking at a situation where if they go into the game handcuffing him against Buffalo, it can get out of line, out of hand quick because, like I mentioned, they're going to score their points. Houston has to do a good job of trying to keep up. And this defense has improved. Right now, I can see them in a bend-don't-break style of defense where you may be able to move the ball, but we're going to create turnovers. So the yards ain't going to look as bad that we're giving up if we're creating those turnovers and we're not getting a lot of touchdowns put on our head. So eventually that offense is going to have to do something, which is why I'm looking at Davis Mills to be the player Sunday to keep those positive things going. And it's going to go to the coaching staff. It's going to be up to them, Tim Kelly and David Culley. They're going to have the confidence in Mills to make those plays. I also want to say that Ross Blacklock is another player on the defensive side of the ball who I think Houston is going to need to, interior-wise, to create pressure coming from the tackle spots. Houston's going to need him to play as well as he did on Thursday as well.
Really quick before moving on, John, to your Davis Mills point, I do believe in order for that to happen, the next guy that I'm looking at, and it's not even a guy, it's just a group in general, that offensive line. And on yesterday we sat here and we gave Laramie Tunsil his flowers. We talked about how great this offensive line has looked to start the season. But this is a Buffalo Bills team that is coming in this game, and they have already recorded 9 sacks for the season. And once again, I understand that this offensive line has looked good, but going back to that game against the Carolina Panthers, they did give up 4 sacks. I believe 2 of the 4 was Davis Mills' fault, just holding on to the ball a little bit longer. To your point, John, not being able to pick up the blitzes when it's coming, but that offensive line is going to have to do a tremendous job keeping the pocket clean in order for Davis Mills to be comfortable to go out there and showcase what he can do.
This week, a limited time offer from the best protein bar ever, which is Built Bar. They got that cookie dough chunk. They also got 9 other delicious flavors: coconut, almond, raspberry, mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel. There's something for everyone. And if you haven't tried all the flavors, go ahead and look to get a mixed box where you'll get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they're healthy too. With 17 grams protein, only 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, and only 4 grams of net carbs, right? Go ahead, make their order today. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCK15, and you'll get 15% off your first order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. You don't want to miss out on that deal. Betting on the NFL doesn't have to be a guessing game. If you listen to the new Locked On Bets podcast hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling, get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and Lee Sterling's lock of the day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast brought to you by betonline.ag wherever you get podcasts. Cody, before we get up here for today's show, I wanted to talk about the comments and the praise from our head coach, David Culley, about quarterback Josh Allen, who he coached for 1 year. And that year, Josh Allen's rookie year, nobody, and I'm on a train of saying, like, I didn't think Josh Allen would ever have the year that he had last year. But this is why I think Davis Mills is in a good position. Just like Josh Allen exceeded expectations with time and a coaching staff that built an offense around him, David Culley, Nick Caserio could also do the same thing for Davis Mills if they choose to make him an emphasis moving forward for this franchise. If they choose, right? If they get enough out of this year and say, let's move on with it from next year, for next year, then maybe he'll be in a better position because they'll be able to build something around him. But back to Josh Allen, David Culley said he's become one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He continued by saying, I know when I had him as a rookie, he has everything that you want. I'm not surprised that he's where he's at right now. I think, remember last year, he was maybe number 2 in the league in MVP voting. He's a heck of a player, has all the things you want. He knows Allen. Been winning for a year in Buffalo. That was his rookie year, which is a long time from now. But the praise from Josh Allen, I don't think David Culley is scared of what they're going to do. I don't believe that. But with this praise of Josh Allen, how prepared will Culley have this team ready for Sunday? Because they will be going, listen, they open up the season against a rookie quarterback, right? In Trevor Lawrence. Then they go to Baker Mayfield, who took Cleveland to the playoffs for the first time in forever. And then they go up against a revamped Sam Darnold, who's in a position where he's more comfortable in Carolina. So they've gotten better quarterbacks from week 1 starting now. This will definitely be their best quarterback they've played to start the year. On offense in the last couple of weeks, they're rolling now, right? You know, how much of a game plan does David Culley, Lovie Smith, Tim Kelly, everybody involved in that coaching staff room, how much a game plan do they have around limiting Josh Allen in those big plays that he's known for with that big arm?
To be honest with you, John and listeners, I don't really think it even has to do anything with David Culley or the coaching staff. I think it's actually more so of the players going out there and executing. And I say that because, you know, that press conference took place on Monday. And later on in the day, we had an opportunity to talk to Justin Britt, and we had an opportunity to talk to defensive back Tremon Smith. And the one word that I noticed both of those guys used was focusing, being able to go out there and focus and execute the game plan at hand. You know, it looks like it's one of those situations where, look, the coach can give you all the preparation and stuff that these players needed, but at the end of the day, it's going to be up for these guys to stay focused, to go out there and trust their teammates, which is another thing that both Justin Britt, of course, him talking about talking about the offensive line, and Tremon Smith, of course, talking about the secondary as a whole, to trust their teammates in order to go out there and slow down the Buffalo Bills. Because as I just mentioned, you know, Josh Allen, I think we can all agree, he is by far, you know, a top 10 quarterback in the league. You know, the debate comes, where do you rank him? Do you rank him in the top 5? Do you rank him in the bottom 5? But at the end of the day, you're playing against a top 10 quarterback. This is a team who, once again, like I said in the second segment, has averaged 39 points, and that was against the Washington football team and the Miami Dolphins. So once again, John, you know, I hate to repeat myself. I don't really think it's more so the coaching staff. It's just whether or not the players have enough to go out there and execute the game plans, which brings me back to another point to bring this whole show back around, is another reason why it's going to be very important for Justin Reid to be out there on the field.
Not only Justin Reid, I will say this, with the zone defense, they're going to need a lot from their defensive front four. They're gonna need those guys to create pressure. So they're gonna need a game from Jacob Martin. They're gonna need a game from Roy Lopez where he can kind of stuff that middle and make it harder for teams to run on them. They're gonna need a game from Ross Blacklock and Jonathan Gennard like they just got out of them on Thursday, where they're able to get off those offensive linemen and make plays in the backfield. And not the thing about it is, so Ross Blacklock has 1 sack on the year, but Ross Blacklock should have, I believe, 4. Right, and 2 times he got right to the quarterback. I mean, hugged him a little bit just for them to bring him down. Josh Allen is a big guy, man. You know, 6'5", 6'4", 6'6", something like that. Mm-hmm. He's a big guy. He's hard to bring down. He's kind of like Ben Roethlisberger in his prime, where it's just hard to bring Ben down. That's how Josh Allen is. And so when they get those opportunities, they gotta take those opportunities, right? Because that'll be the difference between 3rd and 15 and 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4. Just getting after him, and then allowing those DBs to sit back in those zones and occasionally bring blitzes. I think this is the perfect week to use Zach Cunningham to get after the quarterback, make him that 5th guy at that will linebacker position to get after the quarterback. So it's going to be a whole game plan around getting after Josh Allen and not missing opportunities. So I think Houston has missed some opportunities, even though they've been better this year defensively. They got a couple of sacks left on the board. Ross Blacklock, especially. I'm Johnson Sports Guy Hickman. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Texans. Take those same fingers and go to YouTube and follow us and subscribe, like and comment on YouTube. Locked On Texans, baby. You know what to do.
And as always, I'm your host, Cody Davis. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at CodyDavis_24. Once again, that's Cody, COTYDAVIS_24. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.